Hi, glad you could join me. I'm Annette Sherman. This is Community. One of the basic objectives of this TV show is to stimulate awareness and appreciation of our community, its remarkable institutions, its outstanding events, and its extraordinary people. Today, we're focusing on Ringling College of Art and Design, one of the truly sparkling gems in our community crown. Well, it would seem that Ringling's president, Dr. Larry Thompson, and his retinue of innovative, never sleep, they are constantly devising ways to give their students not only an excellent in-class arts education, but also the real-world experience that serves as invaluable preparation. And they are debunking the myths of the starving artist. That phrase, which might be considered RCAD's motto, is what this show is all about. The Ringling College of Art and Design's sensational and amazing concepts and plans that are almost unbelievably reaching fruition as I speak. Let me introduce my special guests for today's program. I want to introduce this person. In fact, I wanted to use the word incomparable preceding his name. So I looked up the definition to be sure it was the description that I wanted. The definition of incomparable was eminent beyond comparison. My first guest is the incomparable Dr. Larry Thompson, president of Ringling College of Art and Design. My next guest is an extraordinary architect. He also confided in me just before we went on air. He's also a very talented entertainer, playing a guitar. Oh, well, whatever he said. And his name is Jerry Sparkman, and I want to check what I had to say about him because I had it down here. If you want to find out more about Jerry Sparkman, just go to your computer and look up Jerry Sparkman or your company name. What is your company name?
Sweet Sparkman Architects.
Okay. And then spend the next half hour enjoying looking at all those beautiful things that he had a hand, if not completely, designed. Just magnificent, Jerry. One after the other. Well, you look at one picture, you say, well, that's fabulous. Look at this, look at that. Oh, then you go to the next one. Ah! And the next one, and next one, and next one. And I spent a good half hour doing that. I was so happy that Larry had found you. Obviously, you're old friends, and he knows all about your talent. And well, we'll hear that story if we have time. My next guest is our third guest, who is, and her name is a hard name. Her first name is Christina is a nice, wholesome name. Her last name is spelled, well, you'll see it on the screen, Keogh. Now, how the heck do you pronounce that? She told me it's Keogh, like Keogh. Everybody mispronounces your name, or just me?
Everyone does.
Everyone, I feel so with it. Okay, she is Director of Library Services and is probably enormously excited about the fabulous new library, which just recently, maybe minutes ago, not really minutes ago. Not quite, but close, just opened. Now, if you don't know about it, we'll give you some information, but we are just a half-hour show, and we have three fascinating guests. The first fascinating guest is going to tell us about, if you would, Larry, give us a bird's-eye view of what's going to happen here in Sarasota, what we're going to have here in Sarasota when this, your incredible dream truly becomes a total reality.
So, in general, there are a number of things that are happening at the college that I could go on and on. But the things I want to really mention about this show is we have 4 major construction projects.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All going on at the same time. Well, the one that just opened is our brand new Alfred R. Goldstein Library, which is absolutely marvelous, and we're going to focus on that today. The second one under construction is right next door to it, which is a new Richard and Barbara Bash Visual Arts Center, which Jerry Sparkman is the lead architect on. The third one is a professional soundstage and post-production studio that's just a little bit further down the street on Martin Luther King. And the fourth, of course, is the entire restoration of the historic high school into a contemporary art museum and continuing education space.
Now, I love the way Larry just rattled these off. You see, like, oh, there was nothing. Just went over, they hired the architect, they got the plans, they got the space. And, no. All with bleeding heart. Bleeding heart because his heart and soul were in this project. And when he came up with the idea, the thinking of it, everybody said, Larry, no, it's not going to happen. How are you not going to do that? But you know something? They didn't know Larry Thompson. What he did is he found the people that could help him make it work. They set about doing it. He set about directing the whole thing and seeing that it kept on keel. And if I don't cry, I will tell you that the opening of the library is the first step. And I hear things about the sound studio and the way it's constructed and the facilities that will be there. And your vision of making our beautiful Sarasota into the next, I hate to say Los Angeles in the same sentence, but from their theatrical or filmmaking standpoint, that's where we're going.
To be a major filmmaking capital in the Southeast. That's what Sarasota needs to be.
I remember
And
when
it
we
can be.
had the French Film Festival, which is not to be compared with what you're talking about and what is happening here. And I remember speaking to many of the people and having them on the program. And many of them said, hey, this is beautiful. Where has this been all our life? We want to buy a house here. We want to live here. And I think that's what's going to happen. And maybe they say, I want to buy a house that is the architect being this gentleman who designed this, because he really does beautiful. All kinds of marvelous things are going to happen. You know that so well, don't you?
Absolutely. And the big thing is, of course, a lot of this is all about the students at Ringling College, but it's also about the community. And the community has really supported all of those buildings in order to make it possible. It's just amazing how great this community is.
Well, they've gotten to know you over the years, and they've gotten to know that if you set about to do something, no matter how extraordinary, no matter how unbelievable it seems in the beginning, you find a way to do it. You find a way and the people to do it. And it's amazing. It's amazing. I was telling Larry about this. Larry, of course, and it's one of the reasons I didn't ask him about background, because if you want to know about Larry, just go to any Sarasota County Public Library, and you'll find his video archive video, which is the story of his life up to a certain point when it was produced. And I forget the year it was produced in, but it's about 7 or 8 years ago.
It's about 8 years ago, probably.
But so much has happened. I said, Larry, when we were talking before we came into the studio, you've inspired Community Video Archives to do something we hadn't thought of until Larry Thompson. Because there are people, I was going to say like Larry, there are people who also have gone on to like chapter 2 in their life, or chapter 4, whatever it might want to call it. And that belongs in a video archive. So we're going to do an extension or the second chapter, if you will.
A sequel.
A what?
A sequel.
That's right. See, he's getting so movie, so Hollywood. Yes, what he said. And it's going to be Larry Thompson, so we'll talk about it later on, not now because it is not finished, but when it is. You're wonderful, Larry. We are so proud and happy to have you here.
Well, thank you, and we really
fabulous,
love you. Thank
fabulous,
you,
fabulous, fabulous. We'll get back to you because we want. Bird's eye view. You were going to. You mentioned the various places. Did you mention all of them?
I mentioned all 4, but the 2 we're focusing on today are the new library and the new Visual Arts Center.
Okay, Jerry. Where are you from? Some basic information.
Sure. I'm from Tennessee.
Tennessee. You're the one.
I'm the one.
Okay. And how you always wanted to be an architect? Your mother said that's a good profession?
No, there's a funny story there. Larry may or may not know. My dad is an architect, and growing up in the proverbial drafting room, watching him, I was the reluctant architect. So I went away and studied music first, and then came back and then realized that maybe I could draw a little bit and share some thoughts with people. So I took up architecture.
Okay, so that's what happened. However, you always longed to be a musician and to play and to entertain, which you do now.
I do as much as
Time
I
allows.
can whenever Larry's not bothering me about doing something else, which is a great thing to be bothered by. But I do love music.
Larry, but you do get to a gig once in a while.
I get to go out. My wife releases me about once a month to play a gig.
I'm curious about, because you had a hand in not just one, but several, is that correct?
Yes, right.
Too.
Beautiful, beautiful work, and so many other things that you have done in our community. I would really think that if you want an enjoyable time, when you do love beautiful buildings and beautiful structures, that you go to your internet and you just tap in Jerry Sparkman, easy to remember, and then it'll come up. And whoever did who did that piece on the internet?
Well, there's been a number of hands in there, but Michelle D'Imperio is very much involved in making that happen. I appreciate your thoughts about it.
Just a wonderful experience. And I compliment you on the work that you're doing with Ringling College. And tell me something, I'm curious. When you're called in to function as an architect, now it won't be necessarily on something that as grand as you're doing with the Ringling College, but let's say a home or an office building, what information typically are you given?
Well, typically we'll get some information. We would like to have these kinds of spaces.
We're what?
These kinds of spaces, a number of spaces, types of spaces, sizes.
The basic, very basic
basics,
kind of thing. We want 7 offices or 5
Correct.
bathrooms and whatever.
But often we get some very interesting one-off
Some interesting
vision comments. Someone has a dream, and we're trying to help them bring that to fruition. And that's why it was exciting to work with Larry, because that's really what it's about, is making space for artists to be inspired in.
And of course, Larry is basically an artist and someone who is involved, immersed in the world of art. So his thinking is probably more connected to what you need to go out and create something that he's going to love.
I'm going to pat Larry on the shoulder for a second, because I have had an extraordinary working relationship with him. We didn't know each other, and just down the street, we met about 2011, and we started working on an exhibit together. We didn't know each other, and we went after something that was very interesting, and we did it together with the students. And then it's morphed into other things we work on together, and I'm continually just amazed, astounded at the people that are with Larry and around Larry and the community that allows us to do what we do. It's really, that's where it comes from. It's not, sure, we bring architecture and design to the table, but the people around it are the ones who make it happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. He knows how to pick them, and they're time-tested, and they are all extraordinary organization right from the beginning, right to the top.
Absolutely, that's the key.
I want to speak to Christina, because we have some pictures for you, and you know what they say about pictures, and it's worth how many words, but we'll see them shortly. Christina, change your last name.
I will try. I'll do it for you.
No, sweetheart, I don't want you to do it for me. Or you put your name, and it's a very interesting name, Keoghh. Now I could go with a lot of pronunciations, and it is Keough.
Keough,
which really, if you look at it, it's probably the way it should be said. Okay, but I'm stupid, so I'm always afraid of saying the name, pronouncing it incorrectly. Tell me a little bit about Christina.
Okay.
You're 14 years old. We have that.
Slightly older than that. Yes, I'm a bit of a Navy brat, but mostly grew up here in the state of Florida on the Space Coast, and lived a bunch of places. And now I'm back in Sarasota. I was here about 12
years ago. As they say about McDonald's, and loving it.
Loving it, having a great time. Been here almost a year now.
So how do you like the new library?
It's incomparable.
Is the word divine?
It's incomparable. It's divine. It's inspiring. It's as many of us have said, it's more than we imagined.
What is your job? If you had to have a description, what is your job description? What do you do?
I do everything related to what's going on in the library. We are at heart a service organization, so we're there to support the students, support the faculty and staff in their jobs, and support the community that come in to use the space. So I oversee the use of the space. I make sure that collections are available, books, video games, other types of resources that we have. And I just need to make sure it's working.
It's a library that people don't think of when they think of library today, because it has all these other things going on. And it becomes not just a place to go and look through the file and take a book out. It becomes a place to really have all kinds of fun experiences with gadgets, with books, with all kinds of things. There's something else. I was reading.
Let me
Yes,
just
go ahead,
interrupt
please.
you for a minute, because that's what's key. We had a lot of people go, what in the world are you building a brand new library for? Okay, libraries are, extinct. Well, they're not.
They're not. By
This
now.
is actually an intellectual student union, because it's a great gathering place for students, and they are coming to it like bees to honey, because it's such an inspiring space. But we also have books, and we have
Yeah, you have books, but you have everything else.
But
And everything else that's new and modern and up to date. Speaking of new, modern, up to date, I was reading an article, and I'm sorry I didn't, I thought I clipped it, but I couldn't find it in the folder, that talked about one of the sound stages and what was there. And it must be there's one bigger than the other.
There are two of them there are two that are really large. One is purely academic, the other is commercial/academic. And then we also have smaller sound stages within the post-production complex.
They were talking about, must be the really large one, because they were talking about what it included. Do you recall offhand?
Well, probably they're also talking about some of the post-production work, like the Foley stage, which is sound effects, and it also has, all kinds of editing suites and a major sort of theater to be able to view it and then make changes as it's being viewed, adding the sound and so on and so forth.
Do you realize that all of this is in an area that a lot of people thought of as not the most desirable for whatever stupid reason? And Larry Thompson realized it's very desirable, it's convenient, it's near the airport, it's near downtown, it's perfect, and managed to convince the people who were involved about what he could do and has done and is in the process of continuing to do. Bless your heart, bless your mind, bless you. I want to get those pictures up.
Just to comment on that.
Oh, yes, please.
That's the phenomenal aspect of what's going on Martin Luther King Boulevard that Larry has kind of pulled all the people together to do, is to transform it. Not just one project in and of itself, but in aggregate, it's a phenomenal transformation.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I don't think that everyone realizes how impossible it seemed to, of course, everything, when a genius does it like that and someone like Larry does it, it doesn't say, oh, that's wonderful. But it was literally impossible, and everybody said that, but it wasn't.
It's happening right now.
It's happening right now.
I want to see those pictures, and there are, I think, 6 or 7. 6. Okay, here's one coming up. Who is now, is that you, Jerry?
That's the Visual Arts Center.
Okay. What is that?
That's the Visual Arts Center.
The Visual Arts Center. Oh, isn't that? I'm not a building lover. I mean, but these are they're graceful and very, very functional and just beautiful and an asset to the community. Next picture, please.
That's looking south towards the new Visual Arts Center. That's the new crossing along MLK.
Oh, wonderful. Can you imagine what's going to have people driving by? It's going to you're going to do it, Larry. You're going to change this into a filmmaking.
Well, this building is actually going to have glass making, so it's going to have a hot shop and a cold shop. It's going to have a new gallery. It's going to have 6 classrooms, printmaking, a major wood shop. It's all the fundamentals of art and design. And that's the reason why we located right at the center of campus, because it symbolizes that no matter what field a student goes into, they need to be an artist first and foremost. And this is the basic essentials of art making right there in that building.
Yeah, to comment on, so Larry's bringing back the fundamentals of art making and putting it at the core of the campus, recentering the campus based on where the college originated from.
Let's see the next picture, please. Oh, that's gorgeous. What is that?
That's looking a little bit east down MLK.
But each side of you look at, it seems like a different building.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just
And
very,
you'll
very.
notice the red sort of like caning is sort of symbolizing what the glass blowing piece that we'll be having in there.
Next picture, please.
Now we're at the library.
Now that's the library.
Yep. Christina,
That's your
That's it,
where
yes.
you work. You
That's all of
lucky
our home,
thing, you.
yes.
That's just beautiful.
We
Do
just
you ever
built
get
it for-
lost in there?
We just built it for Christina.
We're getting a little lost, but the colors inside, you have to visit the inside to see these bright colors, and people are finding their way around through those colors, through the design elements.
Right.
Beautiful. Okay, we have a couple more.
Right.
I can't figure out what
So
that
that
is.
is the inside of the library, and that's
Oh,
the
that's what
stairwell.
you were talking about, yeah.
And that's the stairwell, which is a major design feature. It's not only usable as a stair, but it's also a beautiful piece of art itself. And
It
then
really
the-
is. It's
yeah.
almost a piece of art in
And it's
itself.
right in the middle of the library.
Oh, phenomenal. Okay, I'm sure that in the plans somewhere, we're going to go back and find out what that picture is. Tours and things of that sort.
Yes,
Yeah,
people
I'm
can come
sure.
to it.
I'm
Yes.
sure.
Yep.
Okay, what did we see? What is that?
Go ahead.
A lot of people.
Last Monday, January 9th, the first day of classes at Ringling College, we had a final passing of the last of the books from the previous library, the Kimbrough Library, to the
Oh, yes,
Goldstein
they
Library.
passed it to each other. What
Yeah.
a clever idea.
Yeah.
Was that yours, Larry?
No, it was not.
But it sounds like Larry Thompson to me. But it's a wonderful idea because everyone participates and it gets
Absolutely.
the job done.
Absolutely.
Multifaceted, brilliant idea.
It was brilliant because it symbolized
Yes.
moving from the old to the new.
Absolutely. And
the-
we're all in it.
And you know what? The person who passed the first book was Bob Kimbrough, the son of Vernon Kimbrough, who the old library was named after.
Just fabulous, just fabulous. I don't know what you're doing. I'm getting, my floor manager is trying to tell me something. Okay. It just, I choke up. I choke up because I know, knowing you, Larry, but I also know the kind of work and time and energy and thought and prayer and hope
A lot of prayer.
that goes into this, and not what you have there, all these buildings and all the library and the sound stages and all the other things. Just one little thing is really so complicated to get built and get done and get it done right. But you've got a lot to be proud of.
But you know, the buildings are beautiful, and it's really important because they provide a great deal of inspiration, but it's what happens in the building that matters. So that's why I love seeing the library being used in this way, where it is literally a student center, where students come to it because it's really a magnet for them.
Well,
Just
the
like the Visual Arts
students-
Center will be a magnet for those to help make things and use their hands and so forth as part of the artistic process.
I understand your feeling about that, because that is, after it's finished, it's not going to stand there and be idle. It's going to
Right.
be utilized, and it's going to allow these young people to get the kind of exposure and experience that they need. Again, not to be a starving artist.
Right.
To continue
Exactly.
to get employment, and you will bring incredible employment.
Yep.
When you stop to think of filling those sound stages and creating films that are going to, again, additionally bring all kinds of wonderful thoughts and all kinds of admiration, all kinds of celebration that we are going to do when we look back on this in 10 years. I hope we're both here to laugh and to love and what we see.
I certainly hope so as well, because we're on our way. The college is on its way to becoming the preeminent art and design college in the
permanent-
world.
what?
The preeminent art and design college
Oh,
in the world.
if it isn't now, it's a
It's
matter.
right
it
in the
may
very
be by
top.
the time you leave this studio. I mean, it's around the corner. There's no question about it. But I'm sure that you've elevated from your elevated position that you were in.
Yes.
You've gone up.
It's
Now,
among the
and-
very, very top, but that's not good
Oh,
enough.
you'll be the very,
We're
very
going
top.
to be the very, very
You
top.
will be the very, very top, and in areas that you hadn't even thought of,
Right.
because you will add, probably knowing you add script writing and
We're
all kinds
adding
of
brand
things.
new majors as we speak. Brand
and-
new.
You're mixing disciplines, letting
Mixing,
different disciplines
right.
work together who may never have crossed paths,
Right.
letting these people work in different ways.
And there'll be people knocking on your door every day of the week. How about Wednesday or Thursday? Can we? Oh, please, Larry, please let us use it, because we have this movie that has to be made. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Okay.
But again, it's because of the community. The community is supporting us and making all of this possible. And the library is funded by community philanthropy. It's amazing. And the same thing is
reminds
happening
me-
with the Visual Arts Center.
I don't think that the average Sarasotan appreciates the average Sarasotan. Maybe so. Maybe I'm not giving him a bum rap, but I know that when we have our community video archives, so we have a luncheon once a year in April, and people come, or you may come, but also your cousin may come, your uncle may come, because they're visiting you in April, and you're going to take them there as a place to go. And inevitably, someone will come up, or more than one person will come up to me and say, I'm from Squedunk, Ohio, or wherever they're from. Oh, we'd like to do this in our... Okay, I got to the point that I actually wrote up how to start a community video archives. But the fact is, you've got to have the community that we live in,
Right.
because they don't support it necessarily, and it needs to be supported. My husband, late husband, and I, and my business partner and her husband, who was the president of Arvida at that time, put in $10,000 each, and that was the beginning. And we got help from Northern Trust Bank, from the Sarasota Herald Tribune, et cetera, et cetera. And Ringling College came along very soon to be a supporter every year. We're proud. People are going to be proud of what you've done, Larry Thompson, but I want a statue of Larry Thompson in the center of that,
No, you don't. No.
holding the world in his hand,
No.
or something.
No. It's a lot of people who make this happen. It's not me.
It's
So.
there in the
We'll
form
work
of a
on
really
that
great
one.
place.
Okay, we are out of time, and enough time to say thank you, Larry Thompson. Thank you, Jerry Sparkman, and thank you, Christina, whatever your last name is. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
The time really flew. We bid you adieu from community. If you want to know why we love it here, so check